my Hogsmeade Readathon TBR. I'm going off of the prompts posted by Book Roast, and I have her fun little map that she created of Hogsmeade. I'm going to try to read all 10 books for all 10 prompts, and here they are. Number 1, because we were not given a permission slip to go to Hogsmeade, we have to sneak in with the Marauder's map. So, prompt number 1 is to read a book with a map. My first read will therefore be Bonecryer's Moon, the April Owl Crate edition, which has a map right on the first page. There it is in all its glory. Book number 1, Bonecryer's Moon. Prompt number 2 is to read a book that's part of a trilogy. This is going to get me into the 3 Broomsticks Inn. And for this, it can be any book in a trilogy. I am choosing to start with the first book, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is also my Owl Crate edition. I have the other 2 books in the series, which I have not read yet. So I will be reading this for prompt number 2. Prompt number 3, start a book with a cup of tea. You don't have to finish the book, but you do need to start a book with a cup of tea. I think I'll be able to finish this one, and this is going to get me into Madame Puddifoot's Tea and Cakes. I am reading the graphic novel Witchy that was given in the May Owl Crate. So I probably will be able to finish this while I'm sipping on my cup of tea, but you don't have to be able to finish the book in order to read it. You don't have to read tea the entire time you're reading the book. Just start a book with tea. Prompt number 4 is going to get us to the Hogshead, and because the Hogshead is less popular than the 3 Broomsticks, this is going to be a book that is not the most popular, meaning that it has less than 10,000 ratings on Goodreads. For this book, I am choosing to read Windflower by Nick Bantock and Edoardo Ponti. This is a book that my grandmother gave me, and it only has 381 ratings on Goodreads last time I checked. It's a very interesting sort of detail in the book. Like, it has really thick paper, and it has these kind of like cool designs on them. And so the note from my grandmother says, this is a quality book. Take a peek even if you do not plan to read it. Open it, touch the pages. Good story too. This is one that was destined to go into her little library, and I swiped it. So I will be passing it on to someone else's little library when I'm done with it. Prompt 5 takes us into Honeydukes. So for Honeydukes, you need to read something that has pink or green on the cover, like the label of Honeydukes, or you can have something that has sweets or baked goods on it. For this one, I'm choosing to read Daisy Faye and the Miracle Man by Fannie Flagg. This is a book that I picked up on my way to Vancouver Island as we were waiting for the ferry from Port Angeles to take us over. And it's from the same author that wrote Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, which I've never read, but that I have seen the movie of. It does have green on the cover in this little storefront, and the storefront is for an ice cream shop, so double digits there. Prompt 6 takes us into Zonko's Joke Shop. This is for tricks and jokes, and so it has to be a humorous read. Obviously, we may not know if it's a humorous read unless we've seen some comments about it, but I have a pretty good idea that Bloodsucking Fiends is going to be a pretty humorous read based on the fact that Christopher Morris seems to be similar to Monster by Ailey Martinez that I read previously, as also kind of a humorous read, and the fact that they seem to be sharing a cup of blood, almost like they're sharing a milkshake, makes me think that at the very least it'll make me smirk or smile while I'm reading it. Prompt number 7 is going to get us to the Shrieking Shack, and for this one we need to read a horror or a thriller. I'm going to read Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, which I think is kind of a thriller. It's about satanic panic possibly, or maybe a real satanic cult, I'm not sure. But it's at least thriller, maybe horror, depending on what happens in this one. Prompt number 8 is going to get us into Scriven Shaft's Quill Shop, and this is a book by a person of color. My choice for this is Call Me American by Abdi Iftin, who is a man from Mogadishu, and it is about his fleeing from Mogadishu into America memoir. I'm pretty interested to find out what this is all about, as it was the book club book for my county libraries last year. I just didn't get a chance to read it. All right, and prompt number 9 is to get us into the Owl Post. Last book that we got via Owl Post, or last book that we added to our TBR. It just so happens that I did recently get a book, and that is Incendiary, which was the May Owl Crate book, along with Witchy. So this is going to be the one that I read in order to get into Owl Post. And it's a big fat one, so I'm hoping I'll be able to get through it because I do want to read all 10 for this challenge. We'll see. Last but not least, challenge number 10 was to get us into Dervish and Bangs, and this was to read a steampunk read. I don't even know if I own any books that have steampunk elements to them, so what I did was I Googled steampunk books, and I found that Monstress is a graphic novel that is recommended as on my TBR at some point to read. And it was in that list of steampunk reads. So I figured, okay, I can get another short book in because it's a graphic novel. I'll at least get 3 books read, if nothing else. So Monstress is going to be my read for Dervish and Bangs. I don't actually know anything about it, but it's just something that I've heard recommended. And so hopefully it's good. All right, so those are all my picks for the Hogsmeade Readathon, which starts tomorrow. It's already here. My break from reading is over. I've set aside all my chores and anything else that I might need to do this week, and I'm going to be reading to get through these 10 books. I did decide that on my map here, I'm going to go from the Marauders map, our first challenge, that you have to read that one first, and I'm going to go, instead of going the clockwise way, I'm going to go counterclockwise because I'd like to end at the 3 broomsticks. I'm going to use this map because I think it's going to be easiest to just like go in order from what I want to read. I want to end at the 3 broomsticks because next month I'm challenging myself to read some trilogies and series and duologies and whatever else I have on my bookshelf. And so I'm going to start it with the Cruel Prince trilogy, which means I want to end that one. So right when I roll into July, I can read the next 2 in that series. There you have it, Hogsmeade Readathon. Are you joining along? Are you gonna try to read 1 or 10? Or how many books are you gonna get through? I've got a good feeling about this. Check out my vlog next week to see if I was able to be successful in this. If I am, that means I read 16 books for the month of June, which is pretty exciting. See you then.